Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We'll get started in just a moment or two. I'm going to give some time for people to get settled, come on in, grab their water, coffee, tea, whatever they're drinking. And we'll just give everyone a moment to get comfortable. Feel free to let us know where you're tuning in from this morning or this afternoon, I guess, maybe depending. Indiana. I am in cold Wisconsin this morning. Maine. Love it. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. All right. So yes, you folks are finding the chat. We love to see that. If you need to familiarize yourself, chat is on that right-hand side of the screen. Ask questions there. If anything comes up, say good morning, interact. That is your place to do so. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road officially. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking 30 with us today. This is our very first Take 30 with TAPCO, a platform where we quite literally take 30 minutes to talk all things traffic safety. So today we have the honor of being joined by Patrick and Robotics, who I will introduce in just a moment. But I just want to let you know that throughout the year, our goal is just to deliver high quality and valuable content for you. So don't worry, we're going to stick with this Take 30 series, but we're also going to hit our usual hour-long webinars as well. So we're going to have a variety of content throughout the year. This is something new that we're trying, and we're really stoked to be here. Again, kicking it off with you. So quick intro to TAPCO. If you don't know us, you're going to. We've been in business since 1956, which, yes, is longer than the DOT has been around. It's kind of our claim to fame and a joke we like to make. If you've been on a webinar or an event with us before, you've heard it. We're proud of it. We have a lot of expertise in our team, and we're grateful for that. Our mission is to save lives by going the extra mile on the roadways. So our goal is to get you, your loved ones, to your destination safely, whether you're on 4 wheels, on 2, on 1, or on foot. So it's a little bit about what we do. But we only have 30 minutes today, like I said, so I don't want to take up too much time. Don't want to steal anyone's thunder. So I have the honor of being joined by Patrick Baglian, who is the co-founder of Robotics. He has been driving the company's mission and vision since its inception in January of 2022, I believe. Awesome. So like I said, I'm not going to steal anyone's thunder. I'm going to let Patrick lead the charge here today. Give us the rundown. Patrick, introduce yourself, introduce you, and tell us what you're all about.
I will. Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. I'm just starting my stopwatch here. So thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm, like Sam said, I'm Patrick Baglan, co-founder and CEO at Robotics. I have to just start by thanking TAPCO for hosting. And looks like we have pretty good attendance today. And given the bad weather across 15 or 20 states right this very minute, we figured we'd be lucky to have good attendance. So we appreciate everyone for showing up. This will be recorded. If you want to go back and watch, and then please ask questions along the way. We'll probably get to those at the end. I'm not going to talk at you for 30 minutes straight. I'll try and keep this moving pretty quick and take maybe 15, 20 minutes to get through what Robotics does, why it matters to you and the communities that you serve. And then if we want to get into questions at the end, we can do that. Or we can talk offline, of course, either directly with View or your TAPCO representative. And just a note on that, Robotics partners with TAPCO as a distribution partner. And we've been around a couple years, and we love that TAPCO has been ingrained in the communities across the US for, like Sam said, 70 or so plus years. So we really deeply appreciate this partnership. With that in mind, let me just kind of dig into it and just give you a quick rundown on what you can expect in the next few minutes. So I'm going to quickly talk about what we do, and related to that, why it matters to you and the communities that you are working in. I want to address the challenge and the problem we're trying to help you solve, which is remote monitoring and weather monitoring, how we think we're well positioned to help you. We're going to take a minute or two to kind of go deep on the technology, and then really focus most of our time on use cases and customer examples. I think that's just the best way to visualize and illustrate the use case for this technology, and you can start to picture how you might use it. And then we'll jump into questions with any remaining time we have. All right, so first of all, what do we do? Um, we we provide a service that enables municipalities, state and local government, and then private businesses to remotely monitor sites using weather intelligence. And we do this across a wide spectrum of customers and use cases. Today, we'll be focused mostly on roadways. That could be a county road, a city road, or a state highway. But we also use our monitoring technology at critical infrastructure and real estate assets. Think about hospitals and distribution centers and schools. And so our customers come to us because it's a good way to remotely monitor what the weather conditions are. And just for some context, a super quick plug. Last year, we were awarded the best new product by the American Public Works Association, which I know many of you are members of. Um, and so we're deeply honored to be recognized after only a year and a half in business. The question I think you might want to ask yourself, and we always ask our customers, is this, and it's also the question we asked ourselves when we started this business. How do you instantly assess weather risk, business disruption, and public safety across a large geography that has both diverse weather conditions and topography? And we'll talk a little bit about what's going on right now today across the Midwest and eastern side of the US in particular, and what a challenge this really is. And for some context, we'll talk about looking at half the country and seeing the weather variances all over. But in many cases, the weather is extremely different from one end of town to the other. And when you ask yourself this, you start to get some ideas about the challenge that this really presents. And so for more on that, I mean, why does this matter to you and the communities you're in? On the left, I just took this clip yesterday of the radar as it's moving from up through Missouri into the Chicagoland, Milwaukee, and Michigan area. And anytime I see these uh, a bunch of different colors on the radar, I know it's going to be a major challenge for our customers when you have rain, freezing rain, snow, ice. Um, and then if you look on the right hand side of the screen, I took this screenshot from last week, and this is in Massachusetts, where you have two examples of half of the state being covered in snow. There's some ice near the coast, and the rest looks like rain. And so it's a really hard problem to address as a municipality or public works department on how and where you use your resources, when to call them in or when to let them sleep for an extra hour. And then ultimately this comes down to public safety and keeping your roads safe. So to go a little bit deeper on the challenge you guys have, I mean, certainly just the rapidly changing weather conditions, especially a day like this. I'm not far from Chicago, and we've already seen snow, freezing rain, and rain. And that's in just my small town. And so we know that there's massive variance across geography footprints that are both big and small. Inconsistent reporting is a challenge for you all. You may juggle 4 or 5 different weather apps, local news, what have you. And so what's the trusted source of weather information and weather forecasting? Because weather forecasting is imperfect. My hunch is that it will get a little bit better as AI and machine learning helps it along, but still it's tough to get it right. And then there's a human factor here too. I mean, literally getting in a truck and driving around to assess the conditions is both costly, it's labor intensive, it's not always possible if the conditions are bad. And it's exactly why technology exists. Not to mention, recruiting and retaining talent is an issue across the U.S. And so, at what point do you start to marry technology with human resources to fine tune your response? And also, traditional technology for weather monitoring has been somewhat cost prohibitive. It's expensive to install and maintain. And if you think about things like traditional road weather information systems, those can be in the tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so small and mid-sized municipalities and counties have had limited options on how to address these challenges. So this is where we come in, and the service and product that we built at View is made to address many of these challenges. Um, it's not a magic tool, but it certainly is a great tool for your tool belt. And this really simply illustrates what it is. We've built a wireless AI-powered weather camera that also has integrated weather sensors, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. The information is communicated via cellular networks to our cloud, where we host it on our OmniView product or platform, where you can see the information and access alerts and reporting on each site or location that you're interested in monitoring. And then what we're really excited about is being able to use the visual data and imagery that we're capturing at that site and start to build out computer vision and AI tools to automatically detect what's happening. And so the dream would be you don't have to constantly monitor these technologies. They let you know when you should come take a look. Just quickly, maybe on the hardware itself and what enables the service for View, because ultimately this is a subscription service. But the hardware is important as a data capture instrument. And there's a lot that goes into it, and I just want to highlight a few things for the sake of time. Number one, the system size. Our weather camera is about the size of a shoebox. You can actually see it behind me here. It's 10 inches by 6 by 4. It weighs about 10 pounds, and there's a little 10-watt solar panel that's about the size of a laptop screen that enables a recharge. And so there's literally no need for power, direct power, or AC power. This is a self-sustaining product that uses solar energy combined with a rechargeable battery pack within the camera. And so you can put the instrument and the camera where you want it, not where power is, which is nice to be able to do. Like I said, it communicates via cellular. The cellular modem is integrated into the device. There's no need to work with or set up a direct plan with AT&T or T-Mobile and so on. All that's taken care of through our service. And then on the data it actually captures, what's really neat is it's got an integrated infrared sensor that will capture the surface temperature. We also have a really great sensor suite that captures air temperature and humidity and dew point and heat index and air quality and some volatile organic compounds. And then we pair that or marry it with a really high quality 2 megapixel color night vision camera that's about 125-degree field of view left to right and 90-degree field of view top to bottom. The idea is this meant to give you really strong situational awareness of not only visually what's happening on the roads or your site, but also what are the weather conditions. We designed the product to be really easy to install and move. And maybe traditionally, if you have researched road weather products in the past, they're not only costly, but they're somewhat invasive to install. And because of that, they can be really positioned as only a wintertime or spring or summertime product. And we have a strong position that our product is a product that you should be able to move around depending on the season. And maybe, for example, you have a bridge deck in your community that might be prone to freezing. But in the summer, you want to move it somewhere else to monitor flooding. That's totally fine. mounting and installing and moving these really only takes a matter of minutes. You can pivot them up or down, you can pivot them left or right, and it's meant to be installed by one person or operator in about 10 to 20 minutes. You can see here on the screen, and we have more videos on our YouTube page of an example of installation. So once it's installed, what does the data look like? Well, first, let me just quickly start with the mobile view. This is how most of our customers view the information. It's great to have, but can you quickly share it? You don't want this information in a vacuum. You want to be able to share it with your stakeholders. So can you easily send the imagery or data to coworkers? Yes, you can. Can you view instantly time lapses? Yes, you can. And the weather information historically and current? Yes, all from your mobile phone. And you can see a few examples here.
Patrick, I think your audio cut out for just a moment. Still nothing. Can someone verify in the chat for me if they can hear Patrick or not? Make sure it's not me. No audio. Okay, thanks, Chris. Oh, there we are.
Okay.
I think
How about now?
Yep.
You got it?
I got it.
Okay, you can hear me, yes?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so this is the mobile version. I thought I'd just quickly share. And then also, let's show you what the desktop version looks like. And there's a couple things I just want to point out. Again, the whole idea is to be able to quickly assess what the conditions are. If you go back to that question I stated at the beginning. And so here's an example on the top right-hand side of the screen where our one particular customer has 10 different cameras in and around a community, and you can quickly scan your page to see what the conditions are. On the top left-hand side of the screen, another view from our desktop platform in a map view. And I actually just took this morning, so you can see the weather is pretty dynamic here. You want to be able to quickly click on your pins and see what the conditions are. And then with the different map layers, you can also see what the conditions of the roadway network are. And you'll notice when I do this, some of the road is blue, some is pink, some is green. That represents ice and snow and so on. So it's on the desktop version. It's really robust forecasting, and so a couple more examples I thought I'd just share. Once you click into the details page, there's a lot of features that are actually quite helpful. I thought I'd just pull a quick example of an event that happened in Texas in the last week. Texas, of course, is not used to wintry weather, but here's a case where the air temperature actually drops below 32 and you have precipitation. And because the network of roads we're looking at here is largely elevated or bridges, there's a big risk to icing. Luckily, because they had this system, they can also see that ground temperature during this event stays consistently above really 35, 36. And so they were monitoring it closely, but again, no reaction, and was able to save probably tens of thousands of dollars with no response here. Another example from earlier, actually this winter season in Michigan, and a really quick clip here. But these two locations are only a few miles apart, and you'll notice that the air temperature, which is highlighted in the red box, is almost identical at 32, but our ground temperature difference is almost 10 degrees. And so, of course, you'll see on the picture on the left, you have accumulation on the road that certainly needs to be addressed. On the right, no snow is sticking. So again, the situational awareness here for this customer says we need to prioritize our resources to that site. A really neat feature we've added in the last few months is the ability to marry both our current condition with what is coming, our forecasted condition. And so we also provide ground conditions forecasting. And that means you get things like surface or ground temperature forecast for the next 24 hours. So you can position your team or operations in advance of what's coming based on the ground conditions forecast, which also includes things like, hey, when is it supposed to be wet? When will that wet turn to icy or snow, and so on. And again, this allows you to, I think, position forward on getting your teams ready. And then maybe the last thing I'll just leave you with is the AI piece, and this is coming. This is coming in a lot of the different technologies we all work with. But I'll just share quickly a clip of how this will work. We have trained a machine learning model based on our own data to identify both precipitation and accumulation on the roadways. And so what you're seeing here highlighted in the yellow box is that percentage is the percentage of the roadway covered in snow throughout this time-lapse video. And we're, I would say, close to commercially releasing this AI product to all of our current customers for beta testing in Q1, Q2. And what's really exciting about this kind of tech is that we're starting with snow and precipitation, but I think where this is headed is a multifaceted tool where we could monitor, things like flooding. We could monitor standing water, and several other applications, which is why it's critical to have a really high quality camera capturing this information. In summary, and then we can go to some questions. What View does with the help of TAPCO is we provide an affordable way to monitor weather risk at scale. And so, you'll be able to deploy multiple camera systems in and around your city or county for really a fraction of what a traditional road weather monitoring station might be. These are easy to install and easy to move. I think this is critically important, especially as you consider the return on investment across your agency. Multiple departments could use this tool, from engineering to Parks and Rec to roads, highways, public works, because it can be used as a year-round tool. And then there's really a network effect here as well. For other communities that are on the View Robotics network, we're happy to facilitate a conversation where you could potentially share that data with surrounding communities. And as you know, being able to track a weather system from one county or city to the next is actually quite valuable. So we'd love to hear from you, and either myself or a View Robotics rep or somebody at TAPCO, and get a chance to understand how you all are using weather technology today, and give us a chance to earn your business. So with that, Sam, I think we've got looks like 5 or 6 minutes for questions. And sorry about the audio cutting out. Go figure. That happens during a live event.
It's bound to happen.
Always. Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah, we have a few questions coming in the chat, actually, Patrick. So first one being from Sherry, it looks like. What is the operating temperature of the camera/modem in the field?
Great question. Super important. If the unit's not operating in extreme hot or cold, it's not providing any value to you. -4 F or 20 C is an operating range that we're really comfortable operating in. The critical components to consider with operating temp, Sherry, would really be the power system. Not to get too far in the weeds, but we use a battery chemistry that's not lithium ion because we want our battery and solar to be able to charge and discharge below 32. And, we have camera systems in Alaska that have been performing flawlessly since they were installed earlier this year. And so we're pretty proud of that choice because, as everyone knows, batteries are really kind of finicky in the cold and hot weather. And so we've made a choice there to operate at extremes. Good question.
And then it looks like we have kind of a two-part question coming from Benjamin. If you can read it there, it is the ground temperature the surface temperature of the pavement? And then for a snow-covered or partially snow-covered surface, is the temperature measured the surface of the snow or the surface of the pavement?
I think what Benjamin's asking is what is it really measuring? And the answer would be it's going to measure whatever's on top of the surface. So I did use the term ground and surface temperature interchangeably in that presentation. It's really measuring the surface temperature. So for example, if a car were to drive and park in front of our system where the IR sensor is oriented, it will measure the top of the car. That, of course, is unlikely to happen because we have a choice on where we position these systems, but that is an example. Yeah, so it's going to measure the top of the surface. This is not a subsurface temperature, and it doesn't really have the ability to read underneath a layer of snow or ice, for example. So it's going to measure what the top surface is.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Feel free, we have just a few more minutes if you have last minute questions. Patrick, I do have a question for you as a company who also sells solar operated equipment. What happens when the battery and the solar panel is cold or covered in snow or there's no sun? I mean, that's a question we get a lot. I'm sure you get it a lot.
Yeah, we do. What happened is we built an oversized battery pack for this case because I live in the Midwest and it's gray for 60 days straight in the winter. And so the system is designed to run without a solar charge for a month straight. And you should, and if we don't have any sun for 30 straight days, we've got bigger issues. But and actually, we have abilities to even adjust that, and so we could extend battery life even quite significantly more than that, Sam. But the pack is not one. There's not a camera where if you don't have sun for 3 days, the battery will drain. It will remain charged for an extended period to mitigate against snow and ice on the solar panel. Great question.
Yeah, it's Midwest understands, I guess. So, let's see here. Any other questions from the chat? I know we're running tight on time. 30 minutes goes by quickly. You mentioned, I do have another quick question for you. You touched on this. I think it's important. You mentioned subscription model. Can you explain that just a little bit more before we depart today?
Yes, good question. You're not buying this physical product from us. This is more of a lease or a subscription, where what you're buying and own is the data that we're delivering to you. Now, so it's a modern business model that will be more of an operational expense, not necessarily a capital expense. As part of that agreement, you get the hardware and the software and the cellular bill and the data and the platform and as many users as you would like for a subscription cost, an annual subscription cost. And the deal that we make with our customers is we'll do everything humanly possible to make sure your system is working. So there's no warranties or parts and labor. We will send you a new system if something breaks, and address any issues with the product as part of the subscription. We cover that within our service. And so it's a great way. It's a great way to try a technology for a year or two, where otherwise buying a physical product and owning it, you're committed to it from day one.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. One final question in the chat, Tim has, do you have any issues with icing on the camera?
We made a design change from last year to this year, Tim, to address some of that. Being able to position the camera left, right, up, down really helps, especially if you know the prevailing wind direction. It is an ultra hydrophobic lens, so we do a pretty good job of resisting precip buildup. Having said that, occasionally it can happen. Freezing rain would be one area where sometimes that does mitigate it a bit, but it usually goes away pretty quickly within a couple hours. And of course, it does not impact the sensor information that you're getting. Yeah, great question.
Great. Thanks for clarifying that. And with that, we have officially taken 30. We are at 11 o'clock Central, noon Eastern. But thank you all so much for joining us today on our first ever Take 30 with TAPCO. Thank you, Patrick at Robotics, for joining us today. If there are any questions about this information, like Patrick said, feel free to reach out to View. Feel free to reach out to TAPCO. We'd be happy to get you the information and point you in the right direction. But with that, I will say goodbye. And thank you once again for everyone's time today.
Thank you.